My vengeance is finally complete. Rurik's line is no more but for young Vasilko, whose life is perhaps some atonement for all those I have taken in my drive to see my family avenged. I look to my sons now, for they are the future. I am not the youth I once was. I feel the cold seeping into my bones, threatening to turn me into ice. I am not sure anything can warm my heart the way hatred did. Perhaps soon I shall return to the snow from whence I came. Hello Wanderers, welcome back to our Crusader Kings 3 roleplay series following Clan Stjarna. And as you will doubtlessly remember from the last episode, King Styrkar's revenge was complete, and the line of Rurik was ended. That is all except for young Vasilko here. However, Vasilko does not yet know of his parentage, and for all intents and purposes, the line of Rurik is no more. Which means that Novgorod is no more as well. The kingdom has split into warring factions, as you can see, with no powerful king to unite them. It has split into three powerful tribes. The chieftain Sitari seems to be the most powerful of them, though Vepsia and Luki both seem to wield quite a bit of influence as well. So it will be interesting to see what happens in this region in the coming years. But that is little of our concern at the moment. Now, a few months have passed since Helgi's death, and our son returns from his raid. As you may remember, Frothy was sent out on a raid to bring back loot for our kingdom, and thus he is returning here, and we shall welcome him home with open arms. And with the vengeance of Styrkar now finally laid to rest, his purpose in many ways is complete. He has done what he had set out to do all those years ago. But that does not mean his story is yet over. Indeed, he has a kingdom to rule and sons with which to leave it to. And though his story may be different now, it will be no less interesting to see how it ends up. But for the most part, the vengeance is complete. And perhaps Styrkar's heart rests a little bit easier. And maybe, just maybe, he may find solace with Infanta Aurea here. That's still yet to be determined, but she is slowly coming around, considering that she was kidnapped. The fact that she can even tolerate our presence is welcome. And this young man would like our son Eirikur to visit us in Povanets. Very well. So one thing that we will be doing as soon as possible is founding the capital of Kolmogori. We have the money, we have the prestige. All we have to do is wait for this little war to end over here in Sweden. Looks like it should be done right away here, with any luck. I'm not going to send our troops there. I don't think they would even get there in time. So we won't be bothering with that. Now, there is one last thing that I think we will consider doing here, and that is to take the lands of Chudia for our sons. As you can see, with our wife passing, all of our sons do have claims on the chieftain of Chudia. And I would like to leave that to my sons. They are no doubt more fit to rule that land. So this may be one of the final wars of Styrkar's lifetime. But we do want to leave our sons with plenty of land and a strong and stable realm. So that's what we're gonna do. I don't think this war will be too hard fought. We have the far greater warriors, and even with the Vologdians joining in, I'm not really too concerned about this one. And so we have swayed Aurea as much as we can. So does that mean that we can now romance her? 5% chance, very low. Seduce, 15, also very low. Convert to witchcraft, 88%. Maybe... Okay, this is... At first I was like, okay, that seems silly. But maybe she's actually interested in this. She is an insightful thinker. She's scholarly. Maybe she's kind of come around and become interested in all of these strange kind of rituals and spiritual beliefs of this realm. We're not going to force convert her, but it could be interesting to try to convert her to witchcraft. That might make things kind of interesting. I guess we'll see how that works out. Yeah, we'll see if she accepts. And our allies in Sweden calling us in again to another uprising. They're just facing uprising after uprising. Sweden is big, but it is not stable, and they're kind of preventing us from doing what we wanted to do. So that's a little frustrating, but we are patient. Styrkar is patient, and I suspect that it won't be too long before we can take the decision and found our great capital. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to siege down their capital. See if we get we might capture their ruler. So we're going to siege down the capital, and then we'll come back once that is done, or if anything else interesting happens. Alright, the siege here is winding down. Vasilko is leading it. And with any luck, we'll capture the High Chiefess. Unfortunately, we did not, so it looks like it is going to be battle. So I'm going to chase down the enemies, and then we shall jump back in once the battle is engaged. As you well know, the AI enemies can be hard to track down sometime. But before we do that, let's see what this interesting event is. The Munificence of Roald. In the past few days, neighboring Jarl Roald has been visiting my court on his way to some holy site or something. Since his arrival, he has been outshining me with his generosity towards my own courtiers, who have all been lapping up his gold with no dignity. I can't help but scoff when I see him surrounded by adoring courtiers for the umpteenth time. My courtiers. A purse for you, good Talpa, and some coins for you, kind Purdir, and for you, sweet Riculfier. Sweet honey cakes. Remember, riches are meant to be shared. He's just flirting with all the women of the court, including apparently my son's pregnant wife. This shall not stand. I believe that Roald has overstayed his welcome. He can leave, and preferably immediately. Anyways, like I said, we will jump back in once we have tracked down these enemies. Convert to witchcraft, the time has come. I cannot force Aurea to see the truth, but I have done all I can to open her mind to it. I pray to Freya that Aurea has connected to something in our innocent conversations about the sacred texts I left in her chambers, and now I must go to her and extend the invitation to her communion, or give up on this endeavor. Let's see if she accepts. Aurea stirs from her sleep as I climb through the window. Who goes there? She demands in an unsteady voice. My name is not relevant. I am here in service of Freya. Aurea scrambles out of bed, reaching for something on her bedside table. Probably nothing good. I want nothing to do with you or your lies. Begone, demon! Aurea shouts, and I am not slow to obey. Ah, so she did not accept. Curious as she may have been, but her Catholic faith remains strong. Well, that is unfortunate. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened if she had accepted, but I feel like that, makes more sense. The idea of these beliefs here, the Asatru and the Uko-Nusko beliefs, would be so foreign to her, the antithesis of what her Catholic beliefs would lead her to believe, so it's no surprise that she was not immediately willing to join in. But our daughter-in-law, Puridir, has given birth to a daughter. Unfortunately, she seems like she may grow up to be a little bit slow, but that is just how it is. Can we catch our enemies here? We shall see in but a moment, I suppose. This should be a pretty big battle, and Vasilka will be leading our troops here. Oh, and we split them in half. Well, that's unfortunate for the Vologdians. And with that, easily crushing the Vologdians' forces here. And then we can go in and finish off the Chudians. That may give us the war score we need. We will see. Once again, I'll jump back in once we have a battle. Alright, so we have caught the Chudian forces here in their capital trying to raise the siege. And once again, Vasilka brings our forces to bear against them. And they stood no chance, let's face it. And the Vologdians coming in for a second bout. Let's let them come to us, I suppose. And then we shall see how this all plays out. We'll take a look at the battles in just a moment as well. Champion wounded an enemy champion as well. Oh, and there we go. Nothing left of the Vologdians. So details from those battles. Any significant things here? Well, Frothy ripped off the head. Oh, what? Frothy is a berserker. Wow, well done, Frothy. That is pretty impressive. He seems to be potentially one of our strongest sons. Who do we have here? Oh man, he killed 2 guys during that battle. Nice, well done. Pretty impressive there, I must say. So, Frothy, taking after the man for which he is named, as the Frothy who was our friend all those years ago, was also a berserker. And then in this battle, this man was slain by Aliok, nobody we know. And Vasilka ripped off somebody's head as well. Killed by Vasilka. Yes, Vasilka is a berserker too. Nice, very impressive, Vasilka. Anyways, looks like a lot of people had their heads ripped off. A lot of deadly warriors now filling out our ranks. So what we're going to do, we're going to send our troops in to siege this down while we hold court and hear the petitioners of the realm. Let us see who comes to approach their king. A haggard-looking peasant now stands in front of me. My lord, I beg you for your help. A monster prowls in the taiga of Onega, killing cattle and farmers alike. Few have seen it, but the mangled remains of its poor victims leave no doubt. It is clearly a huge wolf, as bloodthirsty as few have ever seen. Please send your strongest hunters and save us from its voracious jaws. Well, we shall certainly fell this beast ourselves. We'll prepare a hunting party momentarily. O munificent King Styrkar, I am Terhi, and I have traveled far to ask you for your aid in righting a great injustice. The woman in front of me bows deeply before continuing with her well-rehearsed plea. My brother, Chieftain Ketsu, currently sits in Poyanma. Oh. The Karyalanans. Very interesting. And, oh, this is our prisoner who's gone insane. If you aid me in pressing my claim, I shall swear fealty to you and serve you loyalty to the end of my days? I am not opposed to this. She's our prisoner, but we're pressing the claim of our prisoner. I think that's not a bad idea. The Karyalanans have been a thorn in our side for many years, so dealing with the last remaining ones might not be a bad idea. And finally, Chieftain Yerva approaches with a straighter than usual posture and visibly eager about what he has to say. My liege, there's much to celebrate under your rule. Please allow me to pay for the expenses of your next feast. Perhaps in return you would grant me a favor in the future? Very well. We shall accept. We haven't held a feast in a little while, so perhaps we shall do so soon. So after this war, we're going to have to go and deal with Poyanma. So let us end the war with Chudia here as quickly as possible. Our troops are suffering from some attrition, but I think that should be fine. All the preparations completed, I set out with a selected group of guards to face the infamous monster that is terrorizing Onega. It doesn't take us long to find it. A clear trail of blood leads us straight to the creature's abode. I was already informed of what to expect, but when the massive wolf finally stands in front of me, I can't help but shiver. Well, we shall try to face it down ourselves, and we killed the monster, slayed the beast, and we shall lay its hide as a rug in our halls. We do have another trait, and perhaps we will pick apostate. Different faith opinion, that might help us when kind of win over Aurea here. She actually is starting to like us a little bit. Can we romance her? A very slight chance. I think we should try, though. It's a very small chance, but I think we should try. Now, like I said before when it came to this, I don't think this is not necessarily Styrkar being super active about this. I think this is kind of coming about naturally, but perhaps we will send her a nice poem. And perhaps she is actually receptive to it. I suppose we shall find out. Alright, the forces of the Poyanmans are moving in. I think we should be fine, though. My son Eirikr hovers in the limbo between childhood and adulthood. I've taught him enough to understand the truth, but he's still young enough to have an open mind. Let us see if he accepts the service of Freya. He has indeed. Riksgothi Inga often quotes passages from the heroic sagas about the holy virtues. I should prove I have paid attention by quoting a passage of my own about vindictiveness. And she is pleased. Oh, we are actually losing a lot of troops to attrition now. Okay, let's just end this quickly so that we can get our troops some supplies. You might be a king, but you are also a loathsome knave. The unprovoked anger expressed by my daughter-in-law Puridir comes as a complete surprise. She has been under a lot of stress lately, but to behave like this. That even she struggles, it is calming. I guess Styrkar is being quite patient. I mean, she is pregnant. She has already given birth to a daughter, so perhaps we will let her have her little outburst. Alright, so with that siege done, we have finished off the Chudians, and we can enforce our demands there. Alright, so that's ideal. We should return back to our own land so that we can fill up our supplies. So let us... I'm gonna get our troops back to snuff, and then we will jump back in just a moment. Alright, so as you can see, our son Eirikur has come of age. He is a fortune builder, profligate, strong. It's a good trait. Fickle, just, and ambitious. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. And he is also betrothed to Gyda Alof's daughter, the sister of the King of Sweden. So let us arrange for that marriage. She is also strong, so maybe their children will inherit that trait. Well done, Eirikur. And our troops are now fully supplied, so we should be able to actually go and finish off this war finally. So let us attempt to end this once and for all here as best we can. Romance, unpleasant pleasantries. I was attending a dance in Kolmogari, and Aurea seems to have been accosted by one of the ladies there. Well, we will distract her and give Aurea some time to enjoy the feast on her own there. Can we catch their forces here? Perhaps. Looks like we will. Indeed, I think that hopefully this... Oh, well, that was just some barely but a skirmish. Nothing of major interest there. We want to catch this army here and potentially catch the High Chieftain himself. That would be the best outcome of this, where we would be able to end all this quickly once and for all. So Vasilko leads our forces into battle. Will they be able to capture High Chieftain Ketu? We shall see in but a moment. Unfortunately not, but we did utterly annihilate their forces. And that should be pretty good for us. We're gonna siege down. I know we got lots of stuff going on up here, but I want to finish off this war and then we can sort through all this stuff that's going on up here. So I'm gonna siege down their capital, and then we will come back in but a moment after that. When Aurea suggested a hunt, I did not hesitate to organize one. I'm stalking through the underbush, a page at my heels and my hound just ahead. It seems as if it has found a trail. Then suddenly my concentration is shattered by a woman's scream. We will rush ahead. Within what must have been a minute, we reach the clearing. Aurea's on the ground, disheveled and weaponless. Opposite her, and just about to strike, stands a huge bear. Oh god, bears are terrifying. My arrow strikes true and the beast falls to the ground. For a moment, all Aurea can do is stare, but then she stumbles towards me and throws herself into my arms. And with that, she acknowledges that after all this time, she has come to love Styrkar. Now, this may seem unlikely. Styrkar kidnapped her, took her from her home, from her children, and yet I think she's realized that although what he did was a horrible thing, that Styrkar himself is not an evil man. And as she slowly began to learn about the people here and the culture, perhaps she acknowledged that Styrkar is a good man. So we are We're indeed soulmates. So Styrkar has found love after all this time, and I think that we shall arrange for a marriage to our brand new wife, Queen Aurea. As you can see, her brother rules Navarra. Her son is the king of Aquitaine. Her daughter, the queen of Italy. A lot of she left a big life behind, but I suppose she's found a new one here now. So that is quite a happy moment for Styrkar, I think. The hardest part of ruling. By their very nature, ting meets can often be extremely boring. If tempers don't flare and no one gets dramatic, then it's just a long list of low-ranking freemen discussing petty affairs and standing out in the rain. Yet, as king, I am required to be there, growing older every second, watching the men of Kolmogori talk each other to death, wishing for a war to save me from this hell. Well, I mean, we have a war going on. You could go and join it, Styrkar. We could be doing much more useful things with our time, though, than ting meets. And Aurea's pregnant. Somebody's plotting to kill our prisoner. Not too concerning. But yes, our wife is pregnant. That is excellent news. Power of Heroic Sagas, Rixkothi Inga quotes passages, and we will recite a passage back to her about vindictiveness once again. She seems to like those kind of passages. Alright, so they're running. I'm going to finish off this war because I have a feeling we're going to be chasing down the enemy a lot here. So we're going to finish this off, and then we're going to come back and deal with all this other stuff going on once the war is done. And as you can see, our wife has given birth to a son, a strong and healthy young man. We shall name him Stjarna. I think that is a good, strong name. And we did have a peasant rebellion arise in Chudia. We've got a lot of stuff going on here. So what I think we're going to do is we are going to end this episode here with that bit of good news that our wife was pregnant and gave birth to another healthy young son. But we do have this war to deal with and a rebellion breaking out. So things are not as calm as we might like, but we're going to have to sort this out in the next episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you so choose. I would also like to thank the good folks who are supporting us on Patreon. And if you are interested in joining them, there is a link to the Patreon in the description below, along with the Discord. Until the next time, I have been Stray. You have all been absolutely wonderful, and we will see you in the next episode.